Welcome back to On the Beat, everyone. I'm here with Scott Ferguson from Financial Concepts, and we're talking about three of the most common types of investments. We're talking about CDs, bonds, and stocks. How are you, sir?
Doing good. How are you doing?
Okay, break all three down for me. Let's start with CDs.
Right. Okay, so a CD stands for Certificate of Deposit.
Okay.
All right, and you get this through your bank, and so essentially it's a way in terms where the bank is going to take these dollars that you've given to them, they're going to loan them out to somebody else, and in turn they're going to pay you a small interest rate back for letting them borrow your dollars.
So a bit like a fixed term deposit.
That's right, that's right.
Okay, but that's normally a fairly low...
In the environment we're in right now, where interest rates are very, very low, CD rates are incredibly low.
Okay, well, how about we talk about the next one, which is bonds?
That's right. So bonds, again, it's somewhat similar to to a CD, but in the sense that CDs have guarantees attached to them, and typically bonds don't have those guarantees.
Okay.
But a bond, you are loaning your money to maybe a municipality, to a corporation, and in turn, they're going to pay you back the dollars that you've loaned them with a set fixed interest rate attached to it.
Okay, very similar. Okay, let's talk about stocks. Now, we all know there are many stocks, but, you know, how do we know what to buy?
Oh, that's a great question, right? So essentially, what is a stock, right? Stock is ownership in a company or a corporation. You own a piece of it. And so stocks, historically, have given pretty high rates of return, but you've been a little bit more riskier when you own a stock, right? Because it's got a lot more fluctuations with it, right? Whereas bonds and CDs have been a little bit more stable, more of your conservative investments. Stocks will definitely fall on the more moderate to aggressive side of investments.
Do you encourage your clients to have a mixture of all three?
I do think it plays a place, to have exposure to all three, right? Depending on what someone's goals and objectives are, we may own more stocks because maybe they're being, more aggressive. Maybe they need to have income that's going to grow over time. Maybe it's a much more conservative investment, and they may have, more of a mixture of CDs and bonds because they're not necessarily wanting to see high rates of return. They're just wanting to see that principal that they have earn a little bit but not fluctuate very much at the same time.
Explain to me, is it possible to own bonds and stocks within the same investment?
Yes, you can. So it's called a mutual fund. So a mutual fund is a great way to own a whole bunch of different stocks and bonds in one singular place. I always like to use the analogy of, we all see the Walmart truck rolling down the highway. In the back of that Walmart truck, it's going to have, food, televisions, clothes, socks, shoes, everything that you're going to find inside the store, right? Yeah. Well, a mutual fund is very similar to that Walmart truck. You're going to own a whole lot of different things in one singular place.
Okay. Now, how do we start? We've talked about this in the past. I want to touch on that again if we can. How do we know the right financial advisor is right for us?
You got to sit down with different folks, right, and kind of get a feel for it. Is it somebody, when it comes to finding a financial advisor, to me, it's kind of like a marriage between you and your money, right? Because it's somebody that hopefully you're going to work with for a very long time. So you got to make sure you're confident in that person, that you're comfortable talking about that person, because when it comes to your money, that's kind of an intimate subject, right? It's something that's near and dear to our hearts. We want to make sure that it's somebody that we can be open with and someone that we see being there for us long term, somebody that's going to be in the business for a while.
Do you work hand in hand with one's accountant?
We do. We work hand in hand with folks' accountants. We work hand in hand with estate planning attorneys.
Yes.
All the different pieces of the puzzle to make sure that that full financial plan is put in place.
Okay, and we've also talked about in the past about how you sort of pick the right investments. Let's just go over that again, can we? For your goals and dreams for down the road, how do we know?
That's right. And so investments is all going to come back down to what your goals and dreams are, and then we know what you have to reach for those dreams and goals, right? So what have you already set aside, or what can you afford to be setting aside to reach for those dreams and goals? Depending on that, you may use conservative, moderate, aggressive investments, but it all comes back to each individual's personal circumstances and what they're trying to achieve.
And also what they're willing to, put aside and live without.
That's right.
Because, when you start investing, it's like you're giving that money not away, but it's out of your pocket.
It should be. You should think of it that way. You should be thinking
giving
of it
away?
No, not as giving it away, but you should be thinking of it as dollars that are out of your pocket that you can't get to. I like to call it paying yourself first, right? You're paying yourself first for it to be there down the road.
Great advice. Let's bring up all the information about Scott, how you can get hold of him. There it all is up on the screen, everyone. Financial Concepts. Scott Ferguson is the man to see. Even if you're a little bit intimidated like I was to begin with, give him a call and just go in and have a consultation. Back after this short break, everyone. You're watching On the Beat.